Hare Krishna Anapayini Bhakti Hare Krishna Chaitanya Madhurisaki Hare Krishna UK
Yes, right.
midnight.
11, almost.
Oh my God. Amba Hare Krishna Vaishnavi Hare Krishna Prashant. Okay, there's two Prashants there.
My name is Arnav and his name is Madhav.
Okay, nice to see you too. Thank you. Jia Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I like the backdrop. Saki Vrinda Hare Krishna Brajras Bhavana Hare Krishna Bhaktin Manya Hare Krishna Diti Hare Bol. Gayatri,
Rita.
Hare Krishna. Ishika, Hare Krishna. Shweta Manjari, Jai. Good to see you. Keshav, Devi Murti, Hare Krishna. ISV Bot, Hare Krishna. Gopal Hari. Wow.
Hare Krishna.
What a pleasure to see you. Oisashiburi, as they say in Japan. Been too long.
Please accept
Dilip,
my
Hare
obeisance.
Krishna. Line to you, Prabhu. Handesh, Shambhavi,
Hare
Girish,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Who did I
Krishna.
miss? It moved. Well, who's who's running the show today? Is that you, Brajaras Bhavana, Anapayani, Madhuri Saki?
Hi.
Madhurisaki.
Okay. Running the show from afar. Go for
Hare
it.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Youth Jam. In Youth Jam, we have a structure where we begin off with a prayer to help us. One second, I don't know if my one. Okay, hopefully this is better. In Youth Jam, we begin with a prayer to help instill a mood for for the duration of the program. Then how this works is one devotee nominates another to make the prayer, and that nomination is seconded. And just in a few seconds, there will be links in the chat. These links will have resources. So everything that we covered in Youth Jam session today will be in them, as well as the 5-minute talk sign up. And there will also be the format of the prayer. So let me put that in really quick. And with that, is there anyone that would like to start off the nomination for today's prayer?
I second.
All right. My dear Shishi Radha Madan Mohan and Shishi Radha Gokulananda, if you so desire, please allow us to delve in deeper into the shlokas that we cover in today's session, as well as allow us to connect with one another, some of the new devotees that are here as well, and create a connection that will be long lasting. Thank you for considering our request. And with that, maybe many of you have also seen that there's new devotees on today's Zoom call. So I'll call upon Gopal Hari Prabhu to introduce himself as well as those devotees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Some of us have joined from the Chicagoland area, and we're very excited to join for the first time because um, we've been doing Youth Jam here in the Chicagoland area. We did 3 festivals, all by the inspiration of His Grace Vaisheshika Maharaj, and just learning from his team, all of you, and doing the same process, and it's been wonderful. And so this time we actually get to connect with the source, and so it's very special. At the same time, we're a very small group and just trying to survive. So with me is a really wonderful group here. Uh, we have here, I'll just go down the list on my screen so I don't miss anyone or do anything in the wrong order here. So we have with us Amba. Amba, she is amazing devotee. She's very enthusiastic. She and her husband, she and her brother are always doing kirtan and very expert in it. We have Indira with us. Indra and her brother, Prabhav. I'm not sure if he's here or not. They're very inspiring. Indra chants regularly. Prabhav, plays mridanga. We have Gia. Gia also, she's a college student, getting a degree in accounting. Indra is as well. They're both geniuses, and she's also chanting regularly and very encouraging others to do so. We have Kapil with us. Kapil, he's a Shastra whiz, gives wonderful classes. And Girish, Girish is like, he makes pizzas and inspires all the other youth in Chicago at the temple there. And amazing kirtans and bhajans, overall super amazing and inspiring others to come. And at the end, Girish, if I missed some devotees from Chicago, please, you can introduce them. And then we have Sia with us. Her video is not there right now, but she's Dilip's daughter. So Dilip's iPhone, that's Sia there. And anyone else that I missed? Let's see. Okay, Andhesh, yes, Andhesh and Komal. They are in love with Prabhupada, and they just Andesh is so wonderful, very enthusiastic, again, fully absorbed in Shastra and chanting. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Gopal Hari, and welcome everybody. It's a real pleasure to have us all together.
Thank you.
Strength in numbers and extra impetus and enthusiasm for hearing and chanting. Thanks everyone for taking the time today. Back to you, Madhuri Saki.
And I also just wanted to thank Braja Bhava Prabhu for inviting all of us. It was his connection that made it possible. Thank you.
Rajras Bhavana, how did you make such a connection?
That was through you, Maharaj. You asked me to make a connection with Gopal Hari because he was doing some wonderful programs there. And so it's honestly through you, Maharaj, that I was able to meet Prabhu. I've known Prabhu from a very long time because I would visit Boise when I was young, when Gopal Krishna Maharaj would visit, and he'd come to our home every single year with Maharaj. And so it's really nice that we're able to do some service now together.
It is really nice. It's fantastic. Really great. Thank you.
And Stuti also joined. Stuti, she's also on the call. Just wanted to mention she's very special. Her parents and her, they're just amazing. Yes.
Stuti. I'm not seeing Stuti. Where is she?
Her video is off.
Haribol.
Oh, there you are. Okay, good to see you. Great name too, by the way.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Gopal Hari Prabhu, how have your last few programs been? What have you been doing?
Um, uh, uh, we've been meeting in mainly in homes. We did, all in homes until now. Our next program is planned at the Chicago Temple. And so one program was at Indira's home. That was on New Year's Eve. And we started with just a gathering and something informal. And then we had His Holiness Romapad Swami on that day. He gave a talk. And then after that, we had kirtan until midnight. And everyone took turns doing kirtan. And of course, prasadam, pizza, all those things. So that was one program. Another program, similar structure. We did something like it was on friendship, and we had a discussion on making Krishna our friend and seeing everyone as our friend, and an interactive discussion. A lot of kirtan, 2 hours of kirtan and prasadam.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Madhuri Saki, what do you have in mind today?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Last week we got to read the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and then we continued with our chapter a day of the Gita. So I think the team was thinking that we would continue with our shlokas, or at least chapter a day for today's session, and maybe branch into a discussion.
Okay. And which chapter have you been doing?
We just finished the 6th chapter, and now we'll be on the 7th.
Oh, I guess I missed the whole episode of chapter 6. Sounds great. We've been regularly chanting a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We find that by doing it every day for some time, and it starts to come into one's mind. Kapil, how do you memorize shlokas, and what's your involvement with Shastra?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. Please pardon me, today I'm a little sick. Um, I I just like, try to hear in order to memorize, because when I read, when I try to memorize myself, it's not possible for me. Sometimes I hear it constantly, or else I just record sometimes my voice and then hear it. Shravanam helps a lot.
You just record yourself on your smartphone and then play it back.
Yeah, I'm not doing my own recording that much, but mostly I hear it from someone, some spiritual master. That helps a lot.
Nice. Anybody else have experience or share his or her experience of what you're doing with staying steeped in Shastra, hearing, memorizing verses? Anybody have a plan that they're following? Go ahead, Manya. I can see you want to say something. I'd wait to Chandra. Please go ahead and then Manya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'm glad
Wow,
that
good to see you.
good to see
Hare
you
Krishna.
as always. In terms of verses, the thing for me that's worked a lot is that
Can you make your volume a little louder, please?
Sure. This should be better.
Oh, much better. Thank you.
Okay. All right. One thing that has worked for me a lot is this is similar to Kapil Pru's point on Shravanam, but for me it's more repeated recitation. Like once I go through the meaning of each verse, and it's not repeated like in one sitting. Like for example, I've memorized whole ashtakams this way because I've just recited them every day. And because I've recited them every day and I know what each verse means, it's always relishable because you can see the flow of the author of that ashtakam or maybe the prayers, and then gradually each day you start remembering pieces of those verses throughout the day. And when you cannot say the next line of the verse, it's an itch to go back to the ashtakam and know the next line because there's a story in your head and you want to complete it. There's some paragraph in your head which you want to complete. So you go back. Many times this happens to me. Like I will remember a certain phrase and I'll go back and I'll just have the whole verse down because I've recited it for 7 days, 8 days. So I go back consciously now to remember the verse. It's so easy to grasp it into memory.
Thanks, Advaita Chandra. Can you say where you're from? So anybody who's joining for the first time in our group knows who you are.
I am Advaita Chandra Das. I'm from New Goloka Dham, North Carolina, USA.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Go ahead, Manya. Yeah, Manya showed up in a big way for our recent memorization of Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, right, Manya? And anyway, you can say about yourself.
Yes, Marge. In terms of memorization, I think
What's with the volume today? Your volumes also sounds muffled or something.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I was saying with Prahlad Maharaj prayers or any shlokas, I like to have it in front of me. So I have like a printout that I keep and I staple the pages and I just keep it on my desk. So even if I don't want to memorize, I wake up and I look at it. And I've heard this saying, like if you see like your chanting bag just lying down or shlokas, it's like, oh, it just looks so sad. I should just pick it up. So if I keep it in front of me, there's a temptation to want to memorize it. And I also like to write word to word meaning for each verse. So it helps me understand that verse much better.
Do you have any such document anywhere near you now or in the vicinity?
Um, I can definitely find note cards, Gurmraj, but
Yeah, let's see it.
yeah. Okay, give me 1 second.
All right. Manya's going to school in Illinois. That's Champaign, Urbana, the Fighting Illini. So while we're waiting for Manya to see her work, there she is. Go
I've,
ahead.
I've got it. So it's like this Ziploc bag.
Look at that. Yeah, that's a good idea because water always spills in the bag sometime or another, right?
Yeah. Um, and these are actually Brad March prayers. So like I have like this 51 written on it. And it has like shlokas and word to word translation, if you
Is
can.
that like a folding card?
Yeah, so the paper was too big, so I put just stuck here and it kind of folds like that. So
That's
it's like not.
brilliant. You should get a patent for that. You'll make millions before you get out of college.
And
I
then the
like that. That's really good.
translation
Nice.
on the back.
What verse is that?
This is the 51 verse from Vladimir prayers. Um,
Can you say something about it for everybody?
yes. So the translation says, the great saint Narada said, thus Lord Nrsimhadev was pacified by the devotee Prahlad Maharaj with prayers offered from the transcendental platform. The Lord gave up his anger and being very kind to Prahlad, who was offering prostrated obeisances, he spoke as follows. Um, I was thinking about the word it says the Lord gave up his anger and being very kind to Prahlad. And I was thinking about the pastime of Jagai and Madai when Nityananda Prabhu got hurt. Um, and in order to convince Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to ease his anger, he says that your mercy is much greater than the offense that they have committed. So I see a common pattern between anger being pacified by the mercy of devotees.
Oh, thank you, Manya. Fantastic. Anybody else? Just Kayla Kunja Kumari, welcome. And we're talking about Shastra, our relationship with Shastra, how you're interacting with Shastra. Do you carry something with you? Do you do something every day? That type of thing. Two more, and then we'll pay our taxes. Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna everyone. Mine is a combination of what Manya said about how verses kind of just they're there, and uh, if you're not like paying attention and actively memorizing, it kind of feels like they're just sitting there, and it's kind of sad to see. It's a combination of that and also what Advaita Chandra Prabhu said, which is memorizing in these sort of uh, what's the word? Just smaller bits and pieces and like how you memorize bhajans as well. I related to that one a lot because I've been able to memorize quite a few bhajans in that in that method because it's been really effective, especially with longer ones, such as I was able to recently just get through the Nadia Nagare Nitai Nichai Nichai, which was like a really long one. And I was just because I found some good time during the days last month, and I was able to get through that because it just every day it kind of just itches like at Advaita Chandra said, which was I had the first three and then I had the next three, and it was like, okay, why not go through all of them? And especially that song is really uh easy to break into uh, sets of 3 verses because that's how it's structured. So just going at it that way, especially with even other sets of shlokas like in Bhagavad Gita chapters or any other sets of prayers, it's a little easier because the way they're spoken, I think if you look at it enough, there's a certain pattern with different parts. Maybe this set of verses is going to have this common message. So, as the other youth said, like there's some patterns that you can recognize once you start reading through them or chanting through them a lot. And that's another thing that really helps with memorizing as a tip.
Thank you, Chaitanya. It is something we've talked about a lot is relationships, one concept to another, how it all fits together is a concept, Shastra Sunipana. When you see the relationship, all the Shastras, it's ultimately one tree, and somehow they all have relationship with the other, pointing in a certain direction, producing a particular fruit. Brajras Bhavana, can you say something about why one would get into Shastra memorization? I mean, is it a fanaticism? Is it some kind of compulsion? Is it a neurosis? Or is it something that is highly recommended or beneficial or anything like that?
I've definitely found it to be very beneficial. I think it can seem kind of fanatical and boring uh, to begin with, but once you get into it, one of my favorite parts when like studying a shloka set is that it allows me to like just dive a little deeper into some shlokas and understand them more, especially with like Kunti's prayers. By just studying her prayer, incidentally, I was able to just understand or not understand, but get a sense of her mood. And that was really helpful because even though like the memorization was nice, and I was getting through and making progress, whatnot, and that's more mechanical sometimes. But when I take that time to just think about Kunti and her prayers and I look at the meaning of some verses, then it adds a layer of just more depth in my own understanding. And then one of the nicest parts about memorizing as well is that we can offer them when we go somewhere.
Mm.
If we're at a temple, if we're at a holy place, you don't have signal. It's really nice where you already memorized a set and you can just go ahead and offer those prayers. And it reminds me because whenever I'm in front of the deities, I feel like the Dhruva Maharaj, like I don't know what to say to you, and it's really nice when I can copy someone else's work and offer some prayers.
Yeah, in these cases, plagiarism is okay. Highly recommend. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up. On our yatras, our youth yatra, there were several occasions when we went to temples together, and then we just spontaneously broke out into the prayers everyone had been memorizing. And it's a sense of making preparing something and then bringing it to offer to the deities. And I had experience once when we were at Radharamana, I was with a godbrother, and every day we were chanting Brahma Samhita together in various places. And then when we got there, we were chanting it to Radharaman. And it looked like it was closing time. In fact, the pujaris were getting ready to close the doors, but we weren't finished. And the head pujari gave the signal for them to hold the doors open till we finished. And we felt this really personal reciprocation with the deity that we were there sincerely trying to offer something we had learned. And I liked your reasonings. It's really good. Thank you. Sina, you guys are really into it there in Baltimore. What's your experience or the benefit of memorizing Shastra?
Um, well, in Baltimore, we have a lot of Sunday schools for the youth too. So we'll like go over like a certain Bhagavatam sometimes, like a specific shloka. And then personally, I also just like to like when I hear a shloka that I really like in lectures, I like to like, search up YouTube videos about it to learn more about it. And like I read the purport and I feel like that just really like because some shlokas they have a really deep connection to like what like helps me in like modern day world. And I think it's really like Prabhupada's purports are a really good example of that. And when I read them, it feels like it gives me a really good like way of how I can implement bhakti and keep Krishna more in my own life.
Thanks, Sina. Who is that behind you?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Yeah.
Looks like Krishna.
No. Krishna is back in our temple, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, anyway, it's a beautiful deity. Thank you, Saina. Good to see you. Well, let's try it. Let's chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. By the way, Prabhupada said several times, I've collected those instances in which he said he wanted his followers to read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. And Prabhupada himself used to chant chapters. In fact, there are recordings of him chanting the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. He would go through and chant all the Sanskrit. So the way we usually do this is we pick one person to chant all the way through, and then the rest of us follow behind muted mics. And whoever does it, just make sure you have good sound on your mic and you feel confident about the chapter enough to chant it and also kind of go at a medium speed. Does anybody want to volunteer to chant through the chapter so we can follow you? Anapayani Bhakti was first with her hand up, so you go ahead. And Indira, we'll have you start reading. Actually, you do half and half then. So 15 and 15.
15 Sanskrit verses only?
Yes. And then we'll go through and do the English separately.
Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yata Gyasyasi Tachrinu Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Bhakshyamyasheshata Yaj Gyatva Neha Bhuyo Nyaj Gyatavyam Avashishyate Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Siddhaye Yatadamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tatvata Bhumirapo Nalo Vayu Khammano Buddhireva Cha Ahankara Iti Yame Bhina Prakritirashtada Apareyamitastvanyam Prakritim Vidime Param Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho Yaedam Dharyate Jagat Etadyonini Bhutani Sarvanityupadharaya Aham Kritsnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralayastata Mata Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Gana Iva Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabda Ke Paurusham Nrishu Punyo Ganda Prithivyam Cha Tejaschasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu Bijamam Sarva Bhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam Buddhir Buddhimatamasmi Tejas Tejasvinamaham Balam Balavatam Chaham Kamaraga Vivarjitam Dharma Viruddho Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bharatarshaba Ye Chaiva Satvika Bhava Rajasastamasascha Ye Mata Eveti Tan Viddhi Natvaham Teshu Te Mayi Tribhir Gunamayer Bhaver Ebi Sarvam Idam Jagat Mohitam Nabhijanati Mamebhya Paramavyayam Daivi Hiesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prapadyante Mayametam Taranti Te Namam Duskritino Mura प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमा मायया परितज्ञान आसुरं भावमाश्रिता.
Hare Krishna. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, please do.
Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana kritinorjuna arto jignyasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha tesham jnani nityayukta ekabhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnaninodyartham aham shacha mama priyaha उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञानित्वत्मैव मे मतम् आस्थिता सा हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमं गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनाम् अन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञाना प्रपद्यन्ते न्यदेवताः तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्ता श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति तस्या तस्याचलं श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम् सतया श्रद्धया युक्तस्तस्याराधनम् ईहते लभते च तथा कामान् मायैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसां देवान् देवायजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिम् आपन्नं मन्यन्ते मम अबुद्धयाः परं भावम् आजानन्तु ममाव्ययम् अनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृताः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको माम् अजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि च अर्जुन भविष्यानि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न काश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां त्वन्तगात् कतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वा मोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढावृताः जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्मा तद्विदुः कृत्स्नाम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूताधिदैवां मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणाकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः
Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samhare Jnana Vigyan Yogo Nama Saptamodhyayaha Hari Om. Now the first six to put their hand up who want to read 5 verses each will be selected from 1. Madhuri Sakhi, 2. Saina, 3. Kaylee Kunja Kumari, 4. Manya, 5. Advaita Chandra, and 6. Shweta Manjari. Keshava and Sanvi and Kapil will find a place for you in the next round. Okay, go ahead. We'll go behind muted mics for each, and then we can all say it together.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, altogether these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature.
All created beings have their source in these 2 natures. All of that is material, and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. O conqueror wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, and I am the sound in ether and ability in man. I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all aesthetics. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of Bharatas, Arjuna.
Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Deluded by the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is dear to me. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I'm in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Persons who've acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation, of the demigods, and of the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death.
And Kapil, could you read the purport to text number 18?
Sure, Maharaj. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Lord, serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. Such a devotee cannot live a second without contacting or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.468, the Lord says, Sadhavu hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tva'am mad anyat te na jananti naham tebhyo managapi. The devotees are always in my heart, and I am always in the hearts of the devotees. The devotee does not know anything beyond me, and I also cannot forget the devotee. There is a very intimate relationship between me and the pure devotees. Pure devotees in full knowledge are never out of spiritual touch, and therefore they are very much dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Hey, Keshav, give us a commentary.
On this verse, Maharaj,
Yes, please.
uh, so Prabhupada is saying that anyone that comes to Krishna, there's an exchange of affection, and that they, it's even if they're not, if they're like, even if they're like less advanced, it doesn't mean that they're not as dear to Krishna as other senior devotees are. And when they like come to Krishna because they want some material benefit, Krishna, I like Dhruva Maharaj, Krishna gives them what they desire, but he also gives them the knowledge that they understand that they want to get Krishna and not that material benefit. So they become so satisfied that they advance in devotional service. And and when a devotee is in full knowledge of Krishna after they are serving him, they are very dear to Krishna because their only purpose, the only thing they want to do is to serve Krishna, and they are like a high devotee because they can't live without a second without serving Krishna. And Krishna is also very um fond of him and cannot be separated. And this is how the devotees are in the hearts of Krishna, because Krishna is very fond of that devotee. And also, Krishna is in the hearts of the devotees because they can never forget him. And therefore, there is a very intimate relationship between Krishna and the pure devotees. And this is because they're in full knowledge, so they're never out of spiritual touch, and Krishna is very fond of them.
That was fantastic. I loved your commentary. Can you give us
Thank you.
Sanskrit verse to back up any of your points, please?
Well, there is this verse in the purport that is 9.4.68. Sadhu, yeah, that verse, because it's saying that the translation says that they're always very dear to Krishna. I don't really know that many verses. Like, I don't really know the translation, so I don't really know.
A plus. Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Let's hear any auxiliary thoughts, comments, related points to the purport or what Keshav said, connecting points. Sanvi, there you are. I knew you were in there somewhere.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
What are you,
So,
skydiving or something?
huh?
You must be skydiving. We can't see anything. You're skydiving at night. That's just
Wait.
black.
Oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So I wanted to add like onto the point about Krishna and his relationship towards pure devotees because like I remember hearing somewhere that Krishna is like owned by his pure devotees and that's like how he reciprocates their love and devotion as well. This is like it's an okay example of it. But like you know how like Prahlad Maharaj he was very like he had like lots of unconditional love and like towards the Lord. And Krishna reciprocated that by coming to him in like his time of need. And like, you know, that's one example of how Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees. Another like example of his relationship with pure devotees is like him and the gopis of Vrindavan, because like he's always reciprocating their love towards him.
Very well done, Sanvi. Give me a Sanskrit verse that relates any of your points for 50 extra points. Someone slip her a verse in the chat box and she'll come back with it. Go ahead, Shweta Manjari.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. One thing that was standing out to me, especially reading this chapter right now, is how much the word surrender is mentioned. And I feel like often with Krishna's pastimes, Krishna killing another demon or saving another devotee doesn't seem like a very amazing act, when in reality it is so amazing. And this same word of surrender, I feel like I've become desensitized to it, but I think more and more I'm realizing surrender is a very difficult task, and it's a very big feat. And I see that like especially Daivi Gunamai and Bahunam Janmanamante, those two verses specifically, Daivi Gunamai was really resonating with me because um Krishna's energy can feel really strong, and I think sometimes, sorry, Krishna's energy in Maya can feel really strong, and I think sometimes the biggest way that happens is when Krishna is testing us through his Maya and still wanting us to choose him. So I think, long story short, I feel like surrender is, uh, it's not a small task, and I think that relying on mercy and knowing that we're nothing but a mercy case, I think seeing my lack of surrender is what gives me any hope of like how mercy works. And it's not humility, but it's honesty of knowing how far I have to go. But these verses of Krishna will take care of you in the surrender process, I think that's also very reassuring.
What's your definition of surrender?
I think in this phase of life, it's accepting that Krishna's plan is better than mine, and uncertainty is
That's
just
good.
and uncertainty is just room to observe Krishna's magic. But I'm so far from that realization.
Do you have any Sanskrit verses that give a definition of surrender?
There is the six limbs of Sharanagati.
Ooh, what's that about?
Anukulyasya sankalpa, Partikulyasya varjana, Rakshishyatiti vishvaso, Goptute varnantata, Nish. Mm, mm, can you help me with the fifth line? Ah, I know it's doing what's favorable for devotional service,
Yeah.
rejecting what's not, thinking of Krishna as my protector, thinking of Krishna as my maintainer, surrendering everything I have onto him, and something about humility. Maybe I should revisit this verse. Oh, it's on the screen. Wonderful. Atmanikshepa karpanye shadvida sharanagatihi. Yes. Uh, yes. Full self-surrender and humility. So these are the six limbs of Sharanagati. And I think this thing that Krishna will give us protection and Krishna is my guardian is harder to digest because I feel like I need to be the one to make plans to make sure I'm protected and taken care of, when in reality those plans will fall through and I realize that I'm not the controller.
I really liked your definition, the first one you gave about considering that Krishna has a more effective plan than you do. I don't think it means though that you can't make plans, but just having the realization that Krishna may help you amend them, or knowing that you can't fully achieve them without Krishna's help. Really nicely done, Shweta Manjari. Thank you very much. Brajaras Bhavana.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking of the verse, just two verses before this in the same chapter. One theme in this chapter that I really like is that Krishna is very inclusive, about devotees and those that are good. He mentions the rarity of someone even being attracted to Krishna consciousness, and of course the rarity of someone who takes it very seriously. But two verses before this, Chaturvida bhajante mam, jana sukritino arjuna. Artho Jigyasur Artharthi Gyani Cha Bharatarshava. In that verse, he says that all these four types of people are pious, just because they decided to approach Krishna, even though they want something else from him. And so in this purport, I think Srila Prabhupada also says that um, the devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are also accepted by the Lord because there is some exchange of affection. Um, and I found that really nice that it's very inclusive and that one can start from wherever they are and feel like they're still part of Krishna's family.
Give a verse from the Bhagavatam that says you can start from where you are. Indira, go ahead. She's got it. That's why she's smiling, probably.
No. No, no, no.
No? Who knows the verse that I'm thinking? That who can tell what verse I have in my head right now for 100 points? Go ahead, Manya. Starts with an A, then a K, then an A, Venem.
Akama Sarvakamava.
Yay, go for it.
Akama Sarvakamava Mokshakama Udaradhi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. And I'll just pull it up right now for all of us. A person who has broader intelligence, whether it be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of God. So regardless of where you are, come to Krishna.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So inviting and liberal. Thank you very much. Okay, Advaita Chandra.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Try to be concise. I love this point that Prajaras Bhavana shared about, that there's at any level. And we recently had, there was I got to meet one Vaishnava who was visiting for a very short period of time. His name is Goshan Prabhu from Bhakti Center. So he was essentially speaking on the matter of how that many times we are not at the level of such great devotees that all I want is devotional service. We may say that, but it's far away that we mean it, and that many times we can go to Krishna because who else do we go to when we have a problem that we need help, right? So I just wanted to reflect on that. What I was thinking mainly is this relationship between the devotee and Krishna. It's so sweet, and in one way, it's the essence of Krishna consciousness. Just developing that sweet relationship. Ye yat hamam prapadyante tamstateva bhajamyaham. And that's essentially like a formula that how much we put effort to Krishna. Krishna gives that. In Bhagavad Gita, it says, I give in that proportion. But we've heard that he gives so much more. As the saying goes, that we take one step towards Krishna, take so many steps towards us. And it's a very beautiful relationship. And the more we go into it, the harder it is to get out of it. We just have to step into that particular relationship and particularly learn from those devotees who are close to Krishna. Because the yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chapmai pashyati tasya hamna pranashyami sachamena pranashyati, if I'm remembering that correctly. That essentially those devotees who see Krishna everywhere, Krishna sees that devotee everywhere. And it's so sweet to think about that. And also in the bhajans, like Ebara Karuna Karo, there's a line, Tomara Hridaya Sada Govinda Vishram. That Lord Krishna, he's busy with all his duties as Mahavishnu and maintaining the universe, etc. And he's God, he's going through all these duties. But where is his Vishram? Where is his resting place? That's the heart of a pure devotee. And that's why many times we say that, Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro. You have Krishna, he's resting in your heart. That's why you can give Krishna to us. And Krishna, because it's not that he's coming out of that devotee's heart and coming to us, because he's Purnamada Purnimadam Purnat Purnamudachyate. At Krishna, it's a heart-to-heart transfer. That Krishna is in the heart of a pure devotee, and Krishna comes to our heart as well. So it's an exponential growth of Krishna consciousness. As much as we invest, as much as we take the association of senior Vaishnavas, who Krishna thinks of always. They think of Krishna. Krishna thinks of always. Our life is set. We have to keep on putting that effort and being in the association of such Vaishnavas.
Thank you, Advaita Chandra. That was worth the price of admission today. Worth coming on just to hear that. Indira, let's hear it.
Oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I first wanted to say how much I'm so amazed. Like I'm so like people like these people have these verses and Shastra in their working memory. Like I'm so like you all are just it's like at the top of your head, you're like seeing all these verses. That's so amazing. I just wanted to just share something that it's a point that came to my mind in the context of you can start from anywhere to do devotional service. I don't know where I read it, if it was in the Bhagavatam or in the Nectar of Devotion, but I think it is said that even if you have a lot of material desires, even if you have like a tiny bit of attraction towards Krishna, towards this process, you immediately become eligible and qualified to execute devotional service. So I don't know if that's from the Nectar of Devotion or from the Bhagavatam, but that's just one verse that came to my head.
Yeah, it's such a nice point you're making, Indira. Is there's a purport in the Brahma Samhita where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says something very encouraging. He said, when one has mixed devotional service, you should remember that there's an element of pure devotional service in it. Otherwise, what's the mixture? And that sense comes out in many places in the Gita and the Bhagavatam. I mean, the most famous one that is parallel with what you just said is Akama Sarva Kamova, Moksha Kama Daradi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param, which Shukadev Goswami is saying, Akama, if you have no material desire, Sarva Kamo, you may be full of material desires. Moksha Kama, all you want is liberation. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. The solution is very concentrated bhakti. Tivrena means if you take a sun ray and you point it, put it through a magnifying glass, it'll start a fire. So anything that you desire comes from Krishna anyway. Anushree, do you have anything to add to that? You want to follow up on what Indira said? Do you have other suggestions for verses that are similar to her idea?
Um, could you reiterate what?
She was just saying that she has in her mind, she was thinking of nectar devotion, that even if you have this smallest desire for devotional service, then that you're eligible to start, even if it's just the tiniest of desires that gives you a beginning in devotional service. I'll give you a minute or two to think about it. And in the meantime, Jia,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
I have
Krishna.
a point from where it's like nothing in the beginning is pure. And I think it is mentioned in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita that nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning, but from imperfection, purity will come about. So it might seem like in the beginning that we're doing this, we have a small desire for bhakti and for this taste, but it might seem at first that it's not pure. But as we continue and keep on continuing it, then it becomes, we can see that purity of little taste by slowly and slowly.
That's a nice point. That point about step by step is there in many different places. One I can think of right now is from Kapila Dev, third canto, where he talks about Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Sambido. You know that verse? And then at the end, he said he uses the phrase Anukramishati. Krama means a step, and anu means to follow. So when one starts, you see that last word, Anukramishati? So krama means you start somewhere with just hearing and the association of devotees, and then step by step, one thing will follow another. Anu means to follow, and krama means to step. So one step follows another once you begin the process in even the simplest of ways. Nicely done, Gia. I love those concepts because it means that from wherever we are now, if we just continue the process, then step by step, we'll move towards Krishna. And there is the only qualification really is one's desire for it. If you have a desire and you just try, it's a simple process. You just hear in the association of devotees, and naturally Krishna will manifest it. Let's hear a little bit of the Lilamrita. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so we'll read for, let's read for 10 minutes, because then we can take some final realizations. And if you want to read 2 paragraphs, you can put up your hand. We'll take the first 10 volunteers. We got Navya for 2. We have Shambhavi, we have Aditi, Saina, Keshav, Advaita Chandra. And let's see, who else do we have? We have Vaisheshika Das. Oh, and Shweta Manjari. Okay, go ahead. You're up, Navya.
Wanted candidates from any nationality to qualify themselves as real Brahmins for preaching the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for all practical purposes throughout the whole world. Deserving candidates will be provided with free boarding and lodging. Apply A.C. Bhaktivedant, founder and secretary of the League of Devotees, Parati Pawan, P.O. Jhansi, UP, Abhay. It was another 12-hour ride with a dozen stops. The train's rattling and clattering and its rocking from side to side made riding difficult, but Abe, crowded on the wooden bench with other third-class passengers, kept riding. Within the dingy compartment, passengers red-eyed another complacently, and soot and dust blew in the open windows as the train sped along. Outside, past the Montrose embankment of loose stones, bright violet trumpet flowers bloomed on tall stalks in the shallow trackside ditches. Water buffalo and oxen grazed in the distance and sometimes pulled a plow before a solitary farmer.
Abhay was going to Jhansi not for business but for preaching. 1 month before, in October of 1952, when Abhay had visited Jhansi on business, Mr. Dubey, a customer and the owner of a Jhansi hospital, had invited him to lecture at the Gita Mandir. Many Jhansi people appreciated things, religious or humanitarian, whether from Vaishnavas, Theosophists, Mayavadis, politicians, or whatever. They regarded almost any path as dharma, as long as it showed some edifying piety or tended towards the public welfare. Mr. Dubey had read with interest several issues of Back to Godhead and had therefore requested Abhay to speak. Abhay had been eager, and he had found keen interest among the audience of more than 100 people, many of them young medical students and graduates from the local Ayurvedic college. Abhay was 56, and his commanding presentation of Krishna consciousness had impressed the young, religious-minded people of Jhansi. 25-year-old Prabhakar Mishra, principal of the Vedanta Sanskrit College and head medical officer of the Jhansi Ayurvedic University, saw that Abhay was very forceful in his desire to spread Krishna consciousness. Dr. Mishra regarded him as a kind of guru, although dressed in white. Here is a humble person, he thought, a real sadhu.
Short and stocky, Dr. Shastri, just beginning his career in Ayurvedic medicine, was an active young man, fascinated by Abhay's purity and his vision of a world movement for distributing India's culture. Older men like Toss, Suave, Ramachandra, Hiran Mitra, a utensil shopkeeper who wrote poetry and swore a white Nehru cap, also wanted to learn more about Lord Chaitanya from Abhay. Dr. Malik, who was the Gita Mandir secretary, and Dr. Siddhi from the university, along with their wives, had sincerely approached Abhay after his talk and asked him to please visit Jhansi again. Abhay had come to them not as a pharmaceutical salesman or as a man with family concern, but purely as a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although the specific applications of Krishna consciousness, as given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, were new to his audience, these teachings had interested them. And the more Abhay had expressed these teachings and spoken of his ambitions for spreading Krishna's message, the more his hearers had encouraged him. Several of them had suggested he conduct his mission in Jhansi, and they had promised to help him. Dr. Shastri had even invited Abhay to come and live with him. He would introduce Abhay to important citizens and arrange for lectures in the various meeting places of Jhansi.
After staying for 10 days, Abhay had returned to Allahabad, but remembering Jhansi, he had been unable to concentrate on his business. Something more important was on his mind: the need for an association of devotees propagating the teachings and practices of Krishna consciousness worldwide. With the Gaudiya Mutt now broken into permanent Sikhs, his godbrothers, conducted their own private ashramas in separate locales, apparently impervious to any relocations. Something would have to be done if the overwhelming atmosphere of godlessness were to be corrected. There must emerge, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had envisioned, a league of preachers with activities worldwide. The nations of the world had sought unity through the League of Nations and recently through the United Nations. The League had failed, and so would the United Nations unless it recognized the true spiritual unity and equality of all living beings in terms of their intimate relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Abhay did not expect any good to come of such organizations. Though they wanted peace and unity, their attempts were simply another feature of godlessness. No creating peace and unity was the duty of Vaishnavas.
So Abhay had been thinking that perhaps a likely place to start an organization of devotees would be Jhansi. It wasn't a major city, but at least he had found concerned people. The students had listened and accepted and had said they would help. Abhay had sensed a certain lack of sincerity and depth in their appreciation, and a sentimentality that made him doubt their seriousness. But if he could find a few or even one who was serious, then he would have a beginning. He wanted to preach. That was his mission. Besides, he was already getting older. If something were to begin, it should be now. So he would go to Jhansi again, to stay for an indefinite duration. Without much concern for his Allahabad affairs, Abhay left his pharmaceutical business with his son and nephew, informing them that he was going to Jhansi. As the train pulled into the station, Abhay saw Dr. Shastri waving energetically. They rode together by Tanga to Doctor Shastri's dispensary, and the talkative, effusive doctor promised many preaching opportunities and interviews. Doctor Shastri also spoke of the lore of Jhansi. The site of the present city had formerly been part of the forest in which Lord Ramachandra had practiced austerities many thousands of years ago. The Pandavas had lived here during their exile, and since then many great Vedic sages had had their hermitages in the area. Jhansi had also been the home of an Indian heroine, Lakshmi Bai, who in the mid-19th century had taken part in starting the Indian independence movement against the British regime. Statues and pictures of Lakshmi Bai riding a horse and holding a sword in her upraised hand were displayed throughout the town. But the Jhansi of 1952 was a crowded, poor city with dirt streets and minimal technological amenities.
Dr. Shastri lived alone in a two-story rented building in Jhansi's Sipri Bazaar. On the first floor, he had his clinic, and upstairs, his one-room residence, which he had offered to share with Abhay. The young but influential doctor was a good person to introduce Abhay to receptive citizens of Jhansi, and he was eager to do so. Outgoing and energetic, he moved easily amongst the people of his town. He was respectful towards Abhay, who was twice his age and whom he appreciated as being firmly fixed in the Vaishnava philosophy and way of life. Dr. Shastri saw it as his duty to help Abhay, and he gladly introduced Abhay to others and arranged for lectures. Abhay and Dr. Shastri would cook and eat together like family members. Abhay revealed his idea for a League of Devotees, an organization with a worldwide scope but based in Jhansi. The citizens of Jhansi, he said, should all take part in helping spread Lord Krishna's mission. Lord Chaitanya said, Lord Chaitanya had said that Indians have a special responsibility to distribute God consciousness both in India and around the world.
Dr. Shastri, in his heart always it was burning that the whole world was suffering in the materialistic view. Everyone is busy and eat, drink, and be merry. So the whole day he was touring and preaching his mission that was prescribed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Guru Maharaj. He was having iron-willed determination and self-confidence about his mission. He was not doubtful at all. He was Dhrida staunchly determined. Actually, he was always preaching. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasyeva, 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 Gatiranyata. No other way except Hare Krishna Nama. So, always discussing, sometimes the whole night, he was discussing with me. And sometimes I was fed up. I was requesting, please don't disturb me, please let me sleep. And he, the old man missionary worker, he was just like a young man. I was a young chap, and he was just like my friend, my elder brother. He was like my guide and teacher, because the preacher is a friend, philosopher, and guide. He was always trying to create a good atmosphere through Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The whole Bhagavad Gita was his practical life. His mission was not a mission of preaching only, but of practical action. He was also trying to catch me for this mission, and I would try to slip away. I did not think that he would do any miracle for spiritual revolution of the world, although that is what he urged us.
While Dr. Shastri tended his clinic, Abhay sat and spoke with his patients, occasionally recommending medicines but mostly preaching. For now, he was content to live and preach in Jhansi. Here was life, people receptive to his preaching, who responded to his urging them to chant Hare Krishna. His desire and determination to leave everything else behind and preach day and night, depending on Krishna for the result, were increasing. He began regularly lecturing and chanting at various programs in the city, sometimes at several in one day. On Sundays, he would lecture at the Sadhana Mandir, another day at the Gita Mandir, another day at the Theosophical Society, and regularly in people's homes.
Okay, Amba for the close,
All right. Where do I read, Prabhu? Or should I start reading?
please.
Where do I read, Prabhu?
Mr. Ram Mitra.
Mr. Ram Mitra, the shopkeeper poet, maintained a Shiva temple near his home, and Abhay began to perform kirtana and lecture there. Sometimes Mr. Mitra would speak in Hindi or on Bhagavad Gita at the Sadhana Mandir, and Abhay would attend sometimes. Abhay would visit Mr. Mitra at his utensil shop. The shop was in a crowded Janasi bazaar and opened onto the busy streets. Abhay would sit like a down like an ordinary customer amidst stacks of stainless steel buckets, plates, bowls, and lotas, and speak to Mr. Mitra and friends about Chaitanya Charitamrita. Or sometimes he would listen to Mr. Mitra about his published book of poetry and his literally reputation. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Amba. Thank you, all readers. It's too nice, isn't it? I mean, it's just like takes you away to another century and the adventure of it all, and just knowing this is a precursor. It's so exciting, the hero's journey. Well, now we have a few minutes left, and we're amongst friends here, so we have a chance for some kuiham akyati prachiti, sharing any realizations from your life, anything that you're realizing, experiencing, worried about, excited about, angry about, any revelations, whatever. We'll start with Kapil.
Manoj, I wanted to share this. I felt this deep in my heart. First is you were quoting about Sadhu Sangha, right? I instantly went to the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koy. Lava matra sadhu sangi sarva siddhi hoy. That one verse. And second thing, I have personal experiences because I was in Alaska for my master's and I had no devotee association over there. Literally, no. So I was here for a while, then I went back. And I could see that my utsaha and dhairya going down. I did not have that motivation. I could feel what I used to feel when I was here and when I went back. So sadhu sangha is really, really strong. It's very powerful. And one last thing I'd like to mention is just today heard from Nityanand Pranaprabhu. He's here to give a class in Naperville on I'm chanting, I'm hearing, but nothing much is happening in my life. He quoted one verse from Mandaka Upanishad. I don't know the verse, but I know the translation. Is that we, the living entities, are like an arrow and there is a bow. And the living entity, in order to go very far, we have to stretch the string of the bow. And that stretching is sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha has that capability of stretching us. More they stretch us, the bow will go, very, very far. So loved it.
Powerful, Kapil. Thank you very much. Really nice. We'll find that verse. Somebody ask ChatGPT or somebody. Okay, realizations for 500. What's going on? What are you thinking about? Manya, go ahead.
Hey Krishna. So this week I tried to get my sadhana on like sadhana tracker back. So I tried to track my sadhana and I was noticing such a big difference in my life. And initially it felt that it was difficult for me to maybe wake up or sleep at the same time or the time that I wanted to wake up or sleep. But as soon as I put it on paper and I made like a to-do list or chart for myself, I actually have it. I wanted to show. It's kind of like that. I don't know if you can see, but it has like all the days of the month and then what I need to do. And every day I just finish the task and I put a check, and that gives me so much satisfaction to do. And I was noticing that it was such an impetus to do the task. And I was really surprised, and I was able to like accomplish a lot of things I wanted to, and I felt so much more content with myself. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that here.
Totally relate to that. It's amazing. It's actually a science that the is described in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. How desires are very subtle. And then they rise up from the lower chakra, and as they gravitate upward, they take more shape and form as thoughts in our mind. And then they come to the chakra. This is 11th canto Bhagavatam. I'm not talking new age stuff here. It comes to the chakra around the throat, and that's when we're able to vocalize it. And Prabhupada talks about the ways in which we vocalize everything that we vocalize that, or let me put it properly and speak proper English. There's a way in which to manifest anything in this world, we have to speak about it, as everything comes from sound vibration. So he gives the example of building a skyscraper building. First, you talk about it, and then the ingredients are already there. They come together naturally through your planning and talking about it and so forth. And writing is an abstraction of speech. So when you write down your goals, desires to achieve something in devotional service or any other venue you're in, it's becoming manifest right there on the paper. It's gone from the subtle thought world, a subtle desire thought world, and then it comes out onto paper. And it is uncanny, isn't it, Manya, how it changes your life. Fantastic. Thanks. Very practical, helpful realization. Liz, we got a few more minutes, so please try to jump in if you have a thought, realization, anything you want to share, complaints about the world, uh, solutions to all problems. Advaita Chandra.
Hare Krishna. About essentially like kind of going off of Manya's point about right, and then what you were writing it down. Recently, His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu came and for a program series, and he did a small session with the youth And there I had asked a question to which he said that you should have a dincharya, or which translates to routine. Of course, for me, since childhood, I've always had a very bad relationship with the word routine. Right, my father would write me one, and then it would always be quite strict. And then, like, for me, I was, typically a person who more or less liked to believe. I didn't never quoted this, but I guess I'd adhered with the philosophy of go with the flow. And many times we waste so much of the day, and I've noticed that how much of the day is wasted if you don't have it planned out, and that's a point he was making too. So for me, I'm since I did not like the word routine, I just said I'm planning out how I want my day to flow. I want to have organize the flow of my day. And essentially, another thing is that going with the flow isn't the greatest philosophy, because we hear many times that going to Krishna is like swimming uh, opposite to the current, right? If we go to the flow, we go away. Many times that's the case. So to swim that, we need order. We need some sort of we need to organize ourselves in some way or the other. And I realized that, and I did. Of course, I'm not successful yet in implementing it every day, but the days I have, and there has been a day when a few devotees showed up and I couldn't accomplish all that I wanted to, had written in my board. But the thing is that I felt nice that I tried my best to adhere to it, and it took away the gaps when I was wasting time. It took away um, it's a good it did me so much good just by writing them down. And I was flexible with it, that I didn't adhere to it like a military schedule. I was flexible, and I gave myself good amount of time to do things, gave myself time to do things I like, give myself a few breaks. And it was really nice, and it gave me a completely new perspective on routines than I've thought of in my childhood. That it's something that helps you do what you want to do, rather than confining you to do things that you're not interested to do. Because once you complete one thing after another, you get the motivation to go on to the second thing. And just writing down what you have to do keeps the stress level also down, that okay, I can focus on this task. The next task is on the board. I don't need to worry about it while I do do the work itself. And the schedule is more or less planned out, so I can focus on what the work I'm doing, and I don't need to worry that, oh, after this I have to do this. I make sure I cannot forget this. It's all on there. As you said, it's on paper. It's out of the subconscious level.
Thank you so much, Advaita Chandra. It's a really nice point how it reduces stress also to have a finite number of tasks to follow at a certain time. Amba.
So I was gonna say, like, it's nice to have a routine so you don't get like that much stressed out. It's nice to have be like organized, like your day can go nice and easy. Because then if you don't like have a routine, then it's just like not organized, not like your day won't go flexible. Because like sometimes like for me when I come back from school, I like normally have a nap and then I realize I have like a lot of stuff and meetings to go to. So like it's just like I like that word routine. It's like, where you have flexible schedules. So I really like that word routine and it really like helped me.
That's good. You're lucky. Sina.
I wanted to talk about the point about sadhu sangha, because even in the Leelamrit, we saw how Prabhupada, when he was talking through his talks, he was able to influence so many people in Jhansi. And so it was the Dr. Shastri, and it goes to show the influence that pure devotees can have. And even in my practical life, when you spend a lot of time away without going to the temple, or you feel like your devotion is kind of less stable, or you might not be able to chant every morning like you usually do, or your schedule might get off balance. And so, but when you go to the temple, or you even associate with like-minded devotees, they might not be like Prabhupada, but they're like-minded, and so you can get some sort of structure again, or just hear from guest speakers and things, and that really helps.
Nicely done, Sina. And you already have the keys to success in your life clearly in mind. Very wise. And Gia for the close. And then Brajaras Bhavana Prabhu will make any announcements.
Hare Krishna. So the realization recently had is I always had a hard time with like memorizing verses, slokas, or just taking in that nectar of those slokas because sometimes I have to focus so hard to even remember that one sloka and just I would sometimes write it down, but it would just like go one to my ear and then go out the other. So I decided recently, to I guess take in that nectar, go like behind who wrote that nectar, which was Srila Prabhupada. And so I decided to read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and it's just I've been obsessed with it recently, and like seeing how the journey is being like going from how he started, like even the first point, how his father Srila Gormon Prabhu, how he was so dedicated Vaishnava. Like at the time of death, he said, "Please invite all the Vaishnavas and feed them prasadam and chant Harinam." So that one line also has been like stuck in my mind. Like what a great Vaishnava or soul he was, that he helped like he was there for a reason to help Srila Prabhupada to this movement and to spread this nectar that we are all reading. So, yeah, that was one realization I had.
Wow, nice, Gia. I loved how you said you got obsessed. You are obsessed with hearing the Lilamrita, and that's really the way that we transfer our attention from the material world to the spiritual world by hearing, and it's deeply penetrating when we hear that. Especially the Lilamrita has a real quality like that we can relate to. Thanks, fantastic. Brajaras Bhavana Prabhu, you had perhaps an announcement or two.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yes, we've had so many new devotees join in today from the Chicago area, but we've also have Aditi joining in for the first time today. Hare Krishna, Aditi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. My name is Aditi. I'm from New Jersey and I'm in sixth grade.
Thanks for joining, Aditi. Really happy to have you on the show. How did you hear about it?
So last week, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu was at our house and Maithili told us about this class, so
Way to go, Maitali.
yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Aditi. How's sixth grade anyway?
It's good.
What's good about it?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot more homework now, but I mean, we have like more freedom in school.
Interesting. Wow, sixth grade. I went to sixth grade once. It was right before seventh and eighth. I felt like it was a big jump up because then at least in our system, we had high school and then we had grammar school, then junior high school. Uh-oh, my wife just walked in. Maybe I'm getting kicked out. Come say hi to everybody. Here's my wife near Kula.
Haribol! Oh, it's good to see you all. Jai. How nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm just wondering if you will be hungry.
No. She wanted to know if I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. Anyways, where's Maitali?
Oh, Hare Krishna
Probably on the
Maharaj.
other screen. Where is she? On the other screen. Hare Krishna, Maitali, how are you?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I'm good.
What grade are you in?
Seventh grade Maharaj.
Seventh grade. I see. Well, how come, what's the connection with your father and going over to New Jersey and all that?
So my dad went there for Harikatha, so we were staying at Amala and Aditi's house, and we were talking, and I told them about Jim. So
I see. Your father's like Murari Gupta. He cures people of physical ailments and then also spiritually he gives the Hari Katha, the real medicine. Well, it's just Gopal Hari, thank you. If you're still there, deep thanks to you for getting us all together.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure meeting everybody. I hope you felt at home here because it shouldn't be intimidating. We just get together here and chant. It's a infallible formula. It always works. Just some hearing and chanting, a little association goes a long way. Gopal Hari Prabhu, what did you think? How did it go?
My wife and I, we were both hearing, and we were just so, it was so absorbing. And, um, I, this is such a great fortune. And I think you've started something for all of us here. I think we'll just be addicted to these Saturday Zoom meetings now. We will, and I see some of them shaking their head in agreement. So we have our once a month get together in person, but maybe on Saturdays we all, by your mercy, can. The Chicago youth can join in.
Well, maybe we'll fly out to Chicago, all of us.
Yes. Oh wow.
I mean, you did mention pizza and all that, so that'd be really nice. Well, thanks. Just know, this is all for everybody. Feel welcome here, and just sign in anytime and participate as you like. It's a very open, free forum, and nice just to get together on a regular basis. And we're deeply grateful to you, Gopal Hari Prabhu, for organizing things there in Chicago. My old stomping grounds, by the way. I spent several years in Chicago
Really?
with serving Sri Sri Kishore Kishori, and I'm really glad to have you all here.
We'll be so grateful, bro. Now we have to work on arranging to prepare ourselves for your visit.
Okay, everyone's going to come, right? We'll all go. Okay. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Gauritai, Shri Shri Kishore Kishori, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, if you so desire, please enliven our hearts so that we'll always be attracted to Krishna Katha, both hearing it, speaking it, and spreading it through the distribution of translated literature all over the world. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Vanchakalptarusha, Kripasindhameva Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnaviniki Jai, Gope Manande, Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari
Madhuri Saki, thanks for signing in from the UK from past midnight. She gets a special award for staying up later than anybody. Hari Krishna. Gaur Premanande.
Hari
All right, well, everyone, thank you so much for joining Youth Gym, and we look forward to seeing all of you again next week at 3 p.m. PST. Haribol.